Blessings. I pray everyone's doing well with the sound of my within the sound of my voice. Just gonna jump right into it. Today's post is called vacuum. In essence, speaking within a vacuum. And we've heard this term before, but I just want to make sure that I'm accurate. And I generally haven't looked up the definition, so forgive me because I have my computer right here. I want to read from Merriam-Webster's Dictionary.com. There's multiple definitions of vacuum, but in the context in which I'm using it, just want to let you know exactly where I'm coming from. So, pardon my look away. First definition of vacuum is emptiness of space. Second one, a space absolutely devoid of matter. And the other one that would apply would be a state of isolation from outside influences. Now, what made me want to do a post on vacuum? So, at the time of this post, President Biden has signed into law. I won't say into law, but lack of a better term, signed uh, the American Recovery Act, I believe it's called, and within it, there's various aid monies going towards different places and sources within our country, um, primarily dubbed the COVID saving bill. And as is natural in politics, when one party is providing or signing into or having signed into existence, promoting something that they call a keystone or significant piece of legislation, it's natural for the opposing party to pick it apart, which that creates the checks and balances, which is needed. So what's going on now, as President Biden being a Democrat and the Democrats ushering in this Recovery Act, the Republicans are picking it apart and analyzing it to say what's not good in the bill. Well, the reason I bring it up, one of the things that I found interesting within what's being promoted is aid that's going to black farmers or African American farmers. This group who have been discriminated against for years. So there's aid, there's a lot of money coming the way of the farmers. And watching the coverage of this and different programs speaking about this, the one that I saw on Fox News, which I found was interesting, was Senator Graham, a Republican, speaking about this. And the context in which he put it in was that there's monies going towards the black or African American farmers for them to grow and enhance their businesses or their business in reference to being farmers, but no money is going to white farmers. And I just chuckled and smiled, and I was like, quite interesting. And the reason I say that, now I'm going to apply the vacuum aspect, if you recall what the definitions I read. I know it's an argument or a position needs to start somewhere, but wisdom teaches that you want to be inclusive of as much of the facts and context so that when you present it to whomever, they are able to make an informed decision about what you're talking about. So when Senator Graham made that statement, and then I said I chuckled, because it's put the context or the vacuum he put it in as if African American farmers and our white or European counterparts or peers, if you will, started with the same level playing field. That, for to make it quite simple without going into um, co- um, complex or breaking down dates, as we talk about our as African Americans, our experience here in this country, from being enslaved to Jim Crow, through um, all aspects of racism, from lynching, all of that prospering, having it taken away, sanctioned, advances taken away by common citizens, peers, as well as sanctioned by, at times, government, be it local or on up. And if not sanctioned, the government sat back and watched these atrocities happen within this country. So here we come with a bill today with that is trying to help address some of the inequities that have suffered, specifically in this case, by African American farmers. And we have a legislator presenting language in a vacuum that can help to fan more oxygen on the divisiveness that is already being exposed more so in this country. So my main point in bringing this up is being mindful of language and context in which anyone, regardless of party or ideology, present. Because if I stay with Mr. Graham, Senator Graham's presentation, well, I pause because if he did that, then he wouldn't really have a platform to speak on because he would be speaking the truth. Objective person like, well, yeah, and what's the problem with that? And the reason I say that, because we are all, generally speaking, at least with the people I speak to, one should be paid for the labor that they have, that they put out, one. Two, as it relates to these African American farmers, the context or the vacuum that Senator Graham has put it in, as if reparations, if you will, going to or seemingly a form of reparations going to these African American farmers is almost like a handout that whites can or Europeans cannot get. Not putting in context that no one should get a handout, and these farmers are not asking for a handout. These farmers have been denied loans because they are African Americans, not because they didn't qualify as their European counterparts have, in reference to applying for a loan, meaning you have to have all the variables, your I's dotted, your T's crossed to get them loans. And these loans, if they were acquired or obtained by these African American farmers, they would then be able to invest in their business, their farms, in terms of technology, utilizing and purchasing the latest technology to make the growing of their product more efficient. One. Two, purchasing equipment to be able to then be efficient and grow their product as their European counterparts. But because that had not happened, because of the fact that they were African Americans, their European counterparts, rightfully so, have acquired these loans and they've grown their business or their product or their business being farmers. So that's what this bill is to, in part, help these African American farmers. So as I explained it in more detail, Senator Graham could do the same. He's a senator. But again, it's rhetorical, because if he was to do that, then he wouldn't have the same platform to be able to go on Fox News and then speak in a vacuum to then help to fan the flames, and so on and so on and so forth. So this is, again, I point out this because it's a part of, like, as you know, those who have followed my posts, follow me on my posts, in terms of critical thinking, my workshops, being able to see and take in, using your inner ear and your third eye to analyze what's being said to you, so that you can say, okay, let me break this down. Because the art of war teaches it's easier to conquer when I divide you. And if I have fractions fighting each other, then they're not paying attention to what I may be doing behind the scenes or right in their face. And I'm manipulating both of them so I can maintain the position that I have and don't want to give up. So I speak on this. I do these posts with the main purpose of imparting information, one. Two, but just to keep in the forefront of your mind to critically think. Analyze. Don't pick a side before you analyze. Or if you're going to pick the side of truth. I've said this many times, and I will continue to say it. The side that I pick or I side with is that of truth. And then if I get information that counters what I had perceived to be truth based upon my research, then I will align myself with that truth, regardless to whom or what, if that makes sense. What we have and how we as a society have been manipulated and continue to be manipulated, we've been conditioned and miseducated to side with a side. And then consciously or subconsciously, what we do then after we have picked a side, we then seek information to substantiate that side versus seeking information to substantiate truth. That's a good place to stop. So critically think. Don't speak in a vacuum. As best as you can, speak in to bring forth all the information that you've researched to bring it on the table. Present your information as if it's, mostly, if you haven't seen it or doing the knowledge, meaning you saw it, official transcripts, first-hand information, then what you have and what you're presenting is secondary at best. And if it's secondary at best, that means it could be flawed. So to present it as if you're an expert on it really is practice of the uneducated or the miseducated. Because when you do that, you open yourself up to be addressed by someone with superior information. That's how I've been taught by my elders. So always present your information unless you've seen it or you were there firsthand doing the knowledge. You were there. Present it in a manner because someone may have superior information, and then line yourself with truth. And don't be so stubborn to not be in harmony with the truth when it is presented to you because you don't like the person or, quote, the source in which it came from. Again, that's a practice in letting your ego run crazy over you, run amok on you. And it's a practice of remaining ignorant to knowledge, which then is the gateway to wisdom and understanding, which is harmony. All right. Laugh a lot. Get rest. As it continues to get warm, get outside, get that vitamin D. Exercise. Seek what combines. Seek that God force within you. First connect with that. But seek that within others. Seek within others the things that combine versus what separates. That is how we will grow a society in which we can live up to the tenets of being great. Hotep, Wakanda forever.